airstrike last night on the outskirts of Lashkar-Gah, the provincial capital. In northern Kunduz, Taliban stormed the security checkpoint, killed at least 12, while around 10 others are missing. Now to end the news, here is a recap of the main points once again. The Oman Investment Authority announces the completion of the salary and benefit rationalization project for employees of state-owned companies. The Ministry of Labour announces localizing the position of fuel station manager. The Ministry of Transport, Communications and Information Technology opens 18 additional kilometers of the Adam Hema Thamraid dual carriageway for traffic. And finally, Lebanon begin a 25-day nationwide lockdown today to limit the spread of the coronavirus as infections hit a new record. With that, we end our news bulletin. The next bulletin will be at 10 p.m. sharp. Thank you.
Places that can tell a different story. From the long coast to the wide desert and the high mountains, you will experience different kinds of feelings and emotion. How the wide ocean embraces the long beaches, and the flock of birds to draw a beautiful portrait across the horizon. From Off the Beaten Track Adventures, the latest in hotels and lifestyle and not to be missed experiences. We guide you through Oman and don't leave a single stone unturned. We are diving deep into the world of nature. Stay tuned with Eva, who will take you through this experience on Oman FM. Oman Discovery.
Joined by one of Oman's most celebrated tour guides, Oman Tripper. Set up by Ali Mohammadi, the platform represents a lifelong passion for exploration and showcasing the beauty of Oman. Ali joins me here today in the studio to introduce you to Oman's amazing cultural and natural attractions, and perhaps even give you an idea of where next to explore in Oman, or even better, to book yourself a tour. Ali, thank you for joining me here in the studio.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Eva.
It's been a long time that I've wanted to get together with you and learn more about what you do. And actually, myself, there's some places I haven't been in Oman, and I'd love to hear in your own words what it's like to go there. Some of our listeners have asked, if they've only got a day off in the week, could be a weekend, and they wanted to spend one day out having an adventure, where would you recommend for a one-day trip and why?
Yeah, I think it's a hard thing to ask me because I tend to enjoy most of the places when I go in Oman. And my friends usually tell me, oh, wow, it's as if you haven't been here 100 times already. And I'm just like, oh, I just love these places so much. But if I was to pick one place in Oman as a day trip, it will have to be the Dakhliya Mountains, and specifically Al Hamra and Jabal Shams. I love that area so much. I love the mountains in general. I love the sea as well, but I love the mountains more. And just the experience, it's a long drive from Muscat, but I think every moment of it adds something to the experience. So as you're driving out of Muscat, you get on the highway, and as you're climbing up on the elevation, you go from Muscat on sea level elevation, you're going up to towards the Nazwa highway, and you start seeing the Hajar Mountains. And as they start showing up, just the view of them, of course, if you time it right, where you go early in the morning and you have the reflections of the rays, and you have the Hajar Mountains on the right-hand side of the highway. And then if you look on your left-hand side, if you notice, there are smaller hills, and these are the ophiolites. So if any of you are interested in geology, you can do a Google search on that. They're really fascinating as well. So just that contrast in the landscape, and that's even before reaching any of your destinations. And then, of course, a couple of hours later, you can increase it to 10 hours if you want, because there's many stops on the way that you can do. But for me, I love Al Hamra. So you drive to Al Hamra. The village itself, maybe if you go on the road, you don't see much. But if you go to the old part of the town, it's so gorgeous. And there's a couple of renovated museums. I know of, I hope I'm not mixing up the name, but Beit Safa, which is like an old family that took the old house and they renovated it, and they made it exactly how it would have been, maybe 100 years ago, where the family lived. And they have a lot of the artifacts of the house owner. It's a really gorgeous place. And then from there, of course, you can go to one of the, I think I'd say like a village that's becoming one of the most touristy in Oman, but still very well worth a visit, which is Misfat Al Abriyin.
Yes.
And all of this, you haven't even reached my favorite place, which is Jabal Shams. So I would say that area would be my top recommendation. If you haven't already been there, definitely make sure to visit. But just every step of the way adds a new thing. And of course, I would stretch it all the way until sunset, because you can see some gorgeous views there from Jabal Shams before you make your way back down. And that's not even talking about all the adventure stuff you can do there. That's just as a road trip.
Wow. So when you reach Jabal Shams, what can people expect to do when they get there?
Yeah, so first of all, in Jabal Shams, even, all the stuff I talked about, Misfat Al Abriyin, Al Hamra, the old town, you got the cultural aspects out of the way. You can probably go to visit one of the forts on the way. When I do day tours, for example, it's not technically on the way, but I love going to Jibrain Castle, which is in Jibrain, a little bit further drive, but it's absolutely gorgeous. You go to Jabal Shams, and then you have the off-road drive. Some people are a bit intimidated by it because you need a four-wheel drive, and it's part of it is not graded, so there's no asphalt road. However, if you're relatively used to driving off-road, it's not a difficult drive. And then you just see the landscape change as you go up, and obviously the temperatures drop. And then when you get to Jabal Shams, one of the first things that draws everyone's attention is the view into the canyon. I think I coined the term the Grand Canyon of Oman.
Oh wow!
Not me myself, but I think it's colloquially known as that, and it's kind of people are picking up on it. It's just like it's a Grand Canyon of Oman, and it really is. It does feel like that. I remember I posted a picture once.